everybody. Welcome to the kitchen table at the Greenway home. As you've heard, our staff has been quarantined all week, so we will not be meeting together on Sunday for corporate worship. But I thought I'd put together a few thoughts that I was planning on sharing as part of this series, Blind Spots, that we've been looking at for a couple of weeks now. Let me introduce it to you this way. When I'm talking with people about matters of faith, one of my favorite questions is to ask, do you like the person you're becoming? Just think about that question. Do you like the person you're becoming? I like that question because it reminds us that we are all changing. In small ways, we change from day to day. We change because of things we hear and feel and take in. We change because of what we've experienced. We change because of what's happening in our lives and even what's happening in the world. We're all changing. So the question needs to be asked, do you like the change? Do you like the person you're becoming? Now, this is not only a good question to ask, but if you're a Christian, this is also a very important question to ask. Here's why. The Bible teaches us that if you are a Christian, you are a person who is undergoing a deep personal transformation. You're being changed from the inside out so that you can become more and more like the one who saved you, more and more like Jesus. You're being conformed into his image. But what does that mean? What does it mean to become more like Jesus? It means lots of things. For instance, it means you're growing in your love for God and in your love for your neighbor. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5, beginning at verse 43, "You've heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." Now that's quite a challenging statement, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing for us to love those who love us. It's one thing to love our neighbors, the ones that we like. But Jesus isn't just saying, love the neighbors that you get along with, love the neighbors who think like you. No, Jesus is saying, love everybody, love your enemies. So we know our faith is real. We know that it's growing when we're undergoing this personal transformation so that we're becoming more and more like Jesus, and we find ourselves loving people that are not just our friends and our family, but even our enemies. That's a challenge. That's something for us to think about, but this is what Jesus has done for us. He has loved us. Here's another way in which we know this transformation is happening. We grow in our trust in the sovereignty of God. We trust God more and more. Jesus had perfect trust in the reign of his heavenly Father. One of my favorite stories from the Gospel of Luke from the 8th chapter is the story when Jesus is out in the sea, the Galilean Sea, and a huge storm kicks out, and the boat is getting swamped. The disciples hit the panic button. All the while, Jesus is asleep in the boat. And then we read in Luke chapter 8, beginning at verse 24, the disciples went and woke him, saying, Master, Master, we're going to drown." He got up and rebuked the wind and the raging waters. The storm subsided, and all was calm. "Where is your faith?" he asked his disciples. In fear and amazement, they asked one another, "Who is this? He commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him." Maybe that's a message you need to hear, especially today. Maybe you're in a lot of distress. Maybe you're panicking. Maybe you're very troubled by what's happening in this world and in your life, and you need to hear the words of Jesus. Where's your faith? Can you trust him? As the song reminds us, the wind and waves know his name, so you can trust him. Now, those are just two ways we know we're becoming more like Jesus. We're showing more and more love towards people who are different than us, who think differently than us, people that we otherwise wouldn't get along with. And we know that we're growing as Christians in our trust and faith when we trust God no matter what is taking place. A friend sent a text message this morning containing the song by Shane and Shane entitled Sovereign Over Us. This is a great song. I encourage you to check it out on YouTube or wherever. Once again, it's Sovereign Over Us by Shane and Shane. Here are some of the lyrics to that song. You are faithful forever. You are perfect in love. You are sovereign over us. Even what the enemy means for evil, you turn it for our good. You turn it for our good and for your glory. Even in the valley, you are faithful. You're working for our good. You're working for our good and for your glory. Friends, we need to confess our fears, our doubts, and we need to turn and trust in the one who loved us so much that he came for us, went to the cross for us, and has saved us completely in him. You trust him for your salvation. You can trust him today for whatever challenges you face.